The following is a presentation of TFNN. Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Namaste, everybody. Welcome to Mindful Living. It's Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien, and we want to help you get healthy, feel good, and live life to the fullest every single day. And we are honored to have a guest here with us today who's going to help us do that by understanding how to incorporate herbs for holistic healing into our life. Emily Wenzel, Pilates teacher, herbalist, president of the Tampa Bay chapter of the Florida Herb Society, and founder and owner of Kapok Pilates and Wellness Center here in Clearwater, Florida. And Emily, we are so excited that you're here. We're looking at so many goodies that Emily has brought with her for us to taste.
Full table.
And touch and smell. I know. So welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good. Thank you.
Yeah,
for inviting me.
Oh, of course. We're happy to have you here. And I'm excited to learn about, more about how to use herbs to just stay healthy. Because if you think about it, I mean, as a woman, we're using products all the time, putting on our skin lotions and, perfume, makeup, things that have all kinds of chemicals in them. And once you start, I think, diving into the herbal scene, you start to choose more natural products that are actually healing rather than toxic for your body. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, how did you get into studying and learning about herbs?
Well, at a young age, in the window of my room when I was a little girl, my mom had a little garden, so we did some gardening then. Mm-hmm. And then our family grew, so did our house. So we added on a little room into our house, so the garden went bye-bye. And then we got into other stuff, sports and music and stuff. Go World Cup.
Yeah, I know. Soccer. World Cup is awesome. It's so much fun to watch right now.
And then, so fast forward many years, about 12 years ago, I was going through some changes and wasn't really sure what was happening, just kind of monitoring. And then all of a sudden, realized that something wasn't going right within my body, and I was rejecting food. Every time I was eating something, my body was rejecting it. So
so by rejecting, were you throwing up or just expelling it one way or the other?
Yep.
Okay.
And so through a lot of different testing, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called ulcerative colitis, which is an ulcer, an inflammation of your large intestine. Mm-hmm. Crohn's disease affects your small intestine. Mm-hmm. So I was highly medicated and trying to figure out, okay, well, how am I going to get through this? And being highly medicated, I still tried to monitor what I was eating because I still wasn't feeling 100%. And eventually I started some different elimination diets and still wasn't, feeling as good as I should. Mm-hmm. So one of the GI doctors that I was going to at the time felt that the next step would be to take part of my colon out.
Oh, wow. So it was serious.
At that point, my husband was with me in the doctor's office, and we both looked at each other and said, we're never coming back here.
Yeah,
Clearly there's got to be a better way.
Exactly.
Right. So with that, I looked into my, the alternative methods, and that was kind of my first introduction to alternative therapies. And I started working with a gentleman named Patrick Perdue in Seminole. He's a naturopathic doctor, also a doctor of Oriental medicine. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of tools in his toolbox.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I stuck with a specific diet that seemed to work for me after about 5 weeks of being on a diet called the specific carbohydrate diet. Mm-hmm. I stayed on that diet, and it was the first time in probably a year and a half that I could feel the difference. I felt like I could go out in public and survive.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. This is so interesting because it's so common in our society today to develop some sort of illness or disease based on what we're eating. We've talked about that so much on this show.
Right.
And how oftentimes with conventional medicine, now let's face it, there's a time and a need for everything, but oftentimes you mask you just treat the symptoms and not the source of the problem. People don't change the way they're eating.
Well, okay, so two things. Number one, in retrospect, I I do believe I can have a good understanding of what happened. I was in a major transition in my life, even though it was a happy transition, but I was still in between what I was going to do for my career next, which is funny because look where I am today.
Yes.
Yeah.
From that.
Right.
And even my husband at one point said to me, Emily, I promise you this is probably going to be one of the better things that happened to you.
See, a good lesson right there in adversity in life. I mean, you developed an autoimmune disorder, and yet just taking the mindful living, taking the opportunity to look at it and say, what's the lesson in this? What can I learn from this, as opposed to, woe is me.
The second part of that was I also was exercising a lot, which I have always exercised a lot, but I was in between jobs, so I had more time to exercise more intense, and I think the stress internally on my body and physically on my body was a major contributor.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right.
So I stuck with the diet, and I was told that I was going to be on the medication for the rest of my life. So through the help of Dr. Perdue and these different supplements that would help support my system and strengthen my system, get rid of the bad bacteria and support my system, I eventually decided to wean myself off of the medicine that I was told that I was going to be on for the rest of my life. So yeah, really proud of that, and stay medicine free. And then I started looking at what I was taking, and there was derivatives of the plants.
Okay. So I was going to ask you if he'd put you on herbs that you knew of at that point.
So at that time also I started growing a couple plants just in the house because we it was a new house.
Sure.
And so I was doing what most people did and grow some rosemary, maybe use it in my cooking.
Right.
And then at this time, I was definitely using it more in my cooking because I started cooking most of my own food because I needed to have a good understanding of what I was putting in my food. And then I started really understanding, wow, there's so many hidden ingredients and preservatives in the foods that we don't even know about, or the words, we're not really sure what they are. So that's when I started getting really...
Yeah, I was just at a birthday party this weekend. A sweet little 6-year-old read the ingredients on some popsicles that the girls were having at the party, and she said,
disgusting.
well, I can't pronounce it, I probably shouldn't eat it. She's 6.
Wow.
But she already has an
awareness.
She's a very sensitive digestive system, so she has to watch it.
Interesting, yeah.
But yeah, it's a good point. A lot of stuff in our food.
So as I was experimenting, cooking, and doing all those types of things, I saw an advertisement for a meeting for the Florida Herb Society.
Okay.
So got myself to the meeting, and that was it. I was sold.
Nice.
Probably the second meeting we went to, we started making some herbal salves, which is basically like an organic neosporin that you can use for anything. A bug bite, you could get stung by a bee, you could get a laceration, and I brought some for you to sample today.
So all of this is right in front of us. That's right?
Yes, and we can grow it, or we, I may have some friends that are growers. Even if you're not a grower, maybe you know somebody that's a grower, or you can trade with somebody on doing something. Because I understand not everybody wants to take the time or wants to do some of these herbal preparations, but at least have an understanding of where it comes from. So when you do buy it, and you buy it maybe local or from somebody who's putting their intention and their love into it, that you understand where it's coming from and what goes into it.
Can anyone attend the Herbal Society, the Florida Herbal Society meetings?
Yes. We actually just last night was our last meeting before we take a little hiatus over the summer.
Okay.
And then we start back up. Yeah. Well, maybe not in Florida, but within our own bodies we grow.
Yeah.
And then we start back up in September. So we meet on the third Tuesday of every month. Between September and June, and we have all different speakers and a lot of hands-on things, and learn all different ways of using herbs.
Is that just FloridaHerbSociety.com website?
.org.
FloridaHerbSociety.org.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, to learn more about what we're putting in and on our bodies.
And what we should put in our bodies.
Exactly. What is safe and what is not.
Because what's intriguing is that, particularly, we always get into the aspect, doctor wants to take your colon out. When you look at all the drugs in general, most of the drugs in general come off herbs. I mean, the big drug companies right now have a huge deal in Africa, and what they're trying to do on a continual basis is they go to all these villages, and what they do, when they see something that's working, they grab that, they patent it, so they can take it off the market, which is really disgusting. But it's happening. It's been happening a lot in the last 3 or 4 years, because what's happening is that there's parts of Africa that are open up people haven't seen. Do you know what I mean? So it's insane.
Right.
You know, when we can do this ourselves. Or at least have a friend, just like you said. Yeah.
And it's historically where medicine comes from. I mean, if you go back to, Chinese medicine or, as you said, Oriental medicine, you go to an acupuncturist, they're going to put you on herbs. It's the same thing with Ayurvedic medicine, but thousands of years of science behind putting people on herbs to heal disease.
And it's so amazing the things that we can just do. If you have a sore throat, there's a lot of things that you can grab from your own medicine cabinet and use it instead of running at 11 o'clock at night to the store maybe. And I will say, not to discount, when I was in dire straits, I took the medicine. It was, at that point, it was either, what I knew at that point, it was either that or I was in the hospital.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand. And I think most folks do, but I think most folks also understand that, as you said earlier, medicine is masking everything. And when I look at medicine, when you're just telling that story, I'm saying to myself, you know what? I know it's common sense, but guess what? Hospitals used to let you smoke. Okay, so give me a break, right? The only time you couldn't smoke was when there's oxygen in the room, right?
Yeah.
So the reality, we haven't come that much forward in the context of being healthy versus just masking what it is. Let me take that out. You don't need that. Oh, really? Yeah.
But this is totally old school.
Yeah. Oh, this is where it's
what
at.
we're doing.
This is totally where it's at.
It's definitely, it's the source. I mean, there's where we go. So let's get into it.
So what do we have in front of us here?
What did you bring to us?
Well, I brought a lot of different things so you can see a lot of different ways that you can use the herbs.
Okay.
So basically, an infusion and a tea, making an herbal tea. That's one way, that's a good way to just start, is if you're tired at night, a lot of people know, make chamomile tea. That's awesome.
Yes.
If you have an allergy to ragweed, you might not want to do that because it's in the ragweed family.
Okay.
So you might want to avoid that. But so I have things that are water-based, which is just you're making an herbal tea. I have it in a vinegar base, which you can use in your salads, because I'm all about using food as medicine.
Sure.
Because I like to make my food like a party in your mouth, just because it's got a lot of flavor.
I like that.
Definitely.
Totally.
Herbs, that's the thing. When you cook with natural herbs, it takes the flavor up to a new level.
It does.
It's delicious.
Gets those taste buds going, right?
And then this is an oil base. I also have it in an oil base. And you could do it in a vodka base.
This is oil with what? So is this olive oil?
That I have a combination of oils, but you can do just olive oil.
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of herbs.
There's a bunch of herbs. So this one I call my insect repellent. So what I'm going to be doing soon, because of course right now, and then sometimes I infuse some of the shells or some mineral. Is
that the good Lucky Charms, the shells on top?
It just happened to be the chosen few.
No, that's good. That's awesome. I just wanted to know. I
do use that sometimes.
Those are pretty. I like that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, sometimes I'll use shells. Like if I'm making a clay mask, I might use some of this herbal water, which would be lavender.
Right.
And I'll use the lavender and maybe mix some of the clay in there. So instead of just using the water, you could use, or you could use pineapple juice if you need something that more acidic. But another just way to toss out that you can use the herbs in your everyday life. But so this is oil. So the difference between, let's say, making an herbal tea and then an infusion, and some people use that word kind of, I use it a little bit interchangeably. I use the word infusion a lot, and that's just me infusing herbs in some type of medium. Medium.
I got it. Right. Okay.
This one happens to be vinegar.
Okay.
And what type of vinegar do you start with?
Well, you could use apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
So
which is supposedly really good for you, right?
Which is very good for you.
Yeah.
So and I use the apple cider vinegar in the honey mustard dressing that I brought for you guys to taste today too. But in herbal medicine, you've probably seen herbal tinctures that you take as maybe medicine, that you have a dropper bottle. And then, so like this one I call my throat chakra.
Yeah.
So if I have a sore throat, I really don't get sore throats, but so I don't know. I think maybe my neighbors get them a lot. But you'll find these at a store a lot. You can use them apple cider vinegar base for children, or you can use them alcohol
You're the
base.
medicine woman on your block, aren't you?
Exactly.
That's a beautiful thing. I like that.
I can see some marketable products that you're hearing in our future. Stay with us, folks. We'll be back with more on herbs for holistic healing in just a few minutes.
In quiet markets, investors search for new trading opportunities. We'd like to introduce you to a new product that provides opportunities even in flat markets. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a new and innovative Chicago-based exchange registered with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their trading platform. Nadex never charges a fee to use their platform, which even includes real-time charts and full customization capability. Nadex's unique short-term binary options allow traders and investors to capitalize on strategies even when the underlying markets are quiet. Nadex's innovation has allowed them to come up with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com, or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
We're told to follow our passion and everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFNN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy, a set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders, take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
No matter where you listen to TFNN programming, we want you to know you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones and iPads, located at the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a mobile connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all of our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and radio call and talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not here. What are you doing right now? Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Namaste. Welcome back, everybody. It's Allie and Tom here with Mindful Living with our guest, Emily Wenzel, herbalist and owner of Kapok Pilates and Wellness Center. And Emily's just sharing some of her favorite all-natural herbal products with Tom and I. We've been massaging oils into our hands and our nails. But before the break, you explained one good way, one easy way to get it started is to take an herb and infuse it into any medium that you like, whether it's water, oil, or vinegar.
Yeah. So in order to make an herbal tea, usually for 8 ounces of water, it's about a teaspoon of dried herbs.
Okay.
About. If you want it to be stronger, then of course, and certain herbs are going to be different than others. So like a lavender flower, it's flower, it's very dainty. You're not going to want to heat it, or you don't want it too strong. So this is, wait, which one? One of them is the lavender.
We have lots of drinks here, folks.
We're going to get to
smell
taste
it.
Smell it. Now, and also before you choose the herb that you're going to use, you can read about the effect that it's going to have, the benefits it's going to have for your body.
And with all that being said, I mean, this is real stuff. So if you are taking medicine and you're using something every day,
delicious
medicinally,
lavender tea,
you want to be careful on what herbs you're incorporating if you really are on some type of medication. So that you want to make sure. So that lavender tea,
really good.
I just took, and you can use fresh, but when you use fresh, you want to use a little bit more of the fresh herb than of the dried herb.
And can you just put it, drop it right down into the hot water, or do you put it in one of those infusers?
Now,
That's a good question.
Make us go to sleep?
No. Well, it'll relax you, but I don't think you're going to go night-night because I'm too entertaining.
Yes, you
That's
are.
a fact.
On the edge
That's
of my seat.
The lavender you could take. So I took about 2 teaspoons. I don't want it to be too strong because it's lavender.
Okay.
But the spearmint, maybe a mint, I don't mind the mint being stronger.
Right.
So the mint.
And lavender is so beautiful to grow. The purple flowers,
It's so,
and it's so
pretty.
aromatic around
and
your
you can
home.
even use the leaves, and I even sneak it in food sometimes.
And it grows well here in Florida?
The lavender, yes. Make sure smell it before you taste it.
This is good. What is this?
That one is lemon balm, which is one of my favorites, and spearmint. You asked me to bring some of my faves. So, and I use some of these because you
why
can
are we
use
even
them
buying regular food?
It's delicious.
And then you can mix them.
Seriously?
You can even mix the lavender, and you can have a nice, tasty drink. You can
Goodbye,
even
Starbucks.
There's something so special about having a tea that someone made with their own hands, with your heart behind it. There's so much love that goes into this.
Because you take the herbs, you want to break the herbs up lovingly.
Right.
You want to massage it, break up the oils a little bit. So with your question in regards to do you throw the herbs in there and then the water, I'm all about that. I don't mind herbs floating around in my food.
Right.
Not everybody likes that or their drinks. So I honor that. If I'm making it for an event or for a party, I do the best I can maybe to strain it out because I don't want anybody to get the willies.
Right, or get the herbs. Some people are sensitive about herbs in their teeth.
And you just brought up a great point about how you're making it lovingly, taking the time, because I said a little bit earlier, I'd love to wake up with all of this in my house because it's just peaceful.
It's beautiful.
It's a good energy and it's a good, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's living. It's like living food.
And it tastes insane.
So this is hibiscus.
Oh,
this one's hibiscus.
Cute.
And actually, the hibiscus that we grow, you can even use those flowers.
Oh,
I will admit, this was a dried herb that I have. So however, you should also taste this. This is easy to grow yourself. You can even take the sprig here and put it in the ground, and it might even take pretty easy.
What is this?
But this is a hibiscus.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they grow so well here in Florida.
Totally.
They're all over the place.
And this has a lot of vitamin C. And also, you could mix the hibiscus with the spearmint and the lemon balm, and that would be a nice drink. But if you taste the herb, break it up into your mouth, and it's going to have kind of a bitter taste in it. And this is how we should eat our food anyways.
It's right.
It totally makes sense.
You can really taste the bitterness of this leaf that I'm chewing in my mouth right now in the tea that we just drank.
Cool.
It's really cool.
So I like to show you some of the different flavors just to use them separate so you know what it's like. And that's one of the best ways to start using your herbs in everyday life is to pick maybe 1 or 2 or 3 herbs that is resonating with you, that you're interested in.
Yes.
Some people either really love cilantro or really don't like cilantro. So then don't try to grow it.
Right.
Okay.
But basil, if you're somebody who loves to make pesto all the time, use basil. And basil is a very spiritually uplifting herb too. And also, if you've got insects on your plants, you can make a basil tea, or you can start to make some red sauce and put the, you can start it with just some water, put the basil in there, you already get some of that flavor.
Yeah,
take some of that and then put it in a spray bottle and spray your plants with the basil water, or maybe even a little soapy basil water.
And that keeps the bugs away.
Yeah.
Can you put that on your other herbs that you're growing? Would that affect the flavor, or?
Oh, you mean just the spray? Like if you had
like
some
basil
bugs
water?
on there? No, it wouldn't really affect it.
Okay.
Thyme is something else. A lot of people are making just at least some of their own sprays at home just to clean off the countertops, let's say. So again, if you have a sore throat or achy muscles, thyme's great. You can make thyme water or herbal water. Again, you could do 8 ounces of water and about a teaspoon of the dried herb, or if you have fresh, maybe a tablespoon of the fresh herb. Heat the water, put a cover on top, turn off the heat after it gets to almost a boil, and then let it steep for a few minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, and then take it out, let it cool off a little bit, and then you can use that in a spray bottle, put a little bit of your vinegar in there, and then use that on your countertops. You could also put a little essential oil on there too
to make it smell good.
You could even also use that in your bath. And you're not going to smell like thyme, but it'll help you out. But there's other herbs that are better in your bath, like rosemary. I mean, when I take a bath, to me it's very ceremonial. So I might.
That's cool.
I might make a giant cup of, a giant gallon of tea of something, or I'll put in a cheesecloth. I never thought I would use cheesecloths as much as I do now.
To strain things, right?
Yeah. Or you can use the cheesecloth and put a bunch of your herbs in it and then tie it. So
and throw it in the water?
And then throw it in there, and then you get the aroma of the herbs and you get the benefits of the herbs. So chamomile's good to put in your bath if you want to soothe your skin. Rosemary's great for your skin. Rosemary's great for your hair too. So rosemary's a stronger herb. You can even smell it and taste it.
I love rosemary.
I love it. It's one of my favorites. It's antifungal, antibacterial. So
you know what I do with rosemary?
It smells so good.
I take oil and take garlic and then throw rosemary in it and then save the oil and then cook with the oil. I burnt the last one. Bridget said to me, "It's supposed to taste like this."
However, you could do the garlic.
It wasn't. I burnt the garlic.
But better luck next time.
Exactly.
You can take that garlic, the garlic oil. I've had, and thank goodness this has not happened for a really long time, but if you get an ear infection, you can take some of that garlic, even if you let the garlic sit in the oil for a couple hours. So if your kids are going to be swimming for days in a row and something like that, you can put some of the oil around the ear, and I have done that. It soothes the pain. Catnip, anybody that has kitty cats?
Now, is that the stuff that drives cats crazy, right?
Yeah, but for us, it chills us out.
Really?
But so smell it.
Thank you.
Smell it. It's got an interesting scent to it. It's,
it does.
It's almost like nasty, but
it's close.
It's very strong.
You're gonna eat this one too?
But we can eat
pay
it,
good money
and
for
so it is part of what I use in my insect repellent.
No wonder why insects don't want it.
Wow. Really? So,
but it revs up the kitties.
Repellent, and it keeps what type of bugs? Wait, the mosquitoes? The catnip will
even the lemongrass. Oh, we haven't gotten to the lemongrass yet.
If you grow this around your house, would that be good anti-mosquito? If you just grow the catnip around because of the aroma, or I know they have the citronella plants. They can help kind of keep
citronella,
mosquitoes.
and the lemongrass is in the citronella family.
Okay.
You know, I have lemongrass around and I have catnip around. I just incorporate it. I drink it. You could take the leaf if you're going to be out in the garden, or if you're going to be out, and you can rub it onto your skin. I don't know for sure that it would totally deter
that effective.
Well,
because in Florida they are just crazy. I feel like it's worse every year. The mosquitoes, they eat my children.
And it also depends too, like if there's sitting water somewhere.
Yeah, you've got to dump the stagnant water. Yeah.
But the lemongrass also is great. Did you taste the lemongrass and smell the
Is this it? Lemongrass tea.
Lemongrass is another one of my faves. So the lemongrass, and really easy to grow.
Smells so good.
Oh, when we were talking about the lavender is pretty easy to grow. However, it does not like to be very wet.
Okay.
So same with the rosemary and the lemongrass. Very easy to grow in Florida. There's also folklore that says the rosemary, if in the household you have a large rosemary plant, that the lady is the big dog in the household.
The big dog. There you go.
I'll be picking up one of those tonight. Right after the show.
I love it.
But those are a couple of my faves.
And those can really grow. Those,
the rosemary.
I've seen
They do.
Yeah.
They get
I saw a guy that had a bush outside. It was like this big.
Yeah.
It was like...
When I lived in California, I rented this house and luckily walked in the backyard. There was a huge rosemary bush, so I started cooking with it all the time. I love it.
And I think the other thing is people are not sure what to do with, they have a big rosemary bush and they go, oh shoot, what do I do with it?
Yeah.
Harvesting it and preserving it is another good way to just make friends with your herbs.
Dry them, you mean? Is that what that means?
Learning how to, what do you do with all this excess stuff? Like if all of a sudden you're growing mint, and a mint is a grower, so it's going to crawl around, it's going to come up all different places. Okay. So if you're not aware of that, be aware. If you want a specific garden, you might want to put the mint somewhere separate. But you want to be able to harvest it. You want to, yep. So I take oftentimes this is my super fancy way to harvest in Florida. And then, just a paper bag. And you can put the herbs in there. Even in Florida, you can just drive around for a couple hours, put the rosemary in a paper bag, and then you've got it.
Beautiful. Such good information. I can't wait to start using more herbs.
This is going to be fun.
It is great. Great stuff. We'll be back with more from Emily Wenzel in just a minute. Thanks for joining us.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investment strategy. You're always looking for the next trading opportunity to magnify your perspective. Direction Shares connects sophisticated traders with a powerful array of ETFs from a wide range of asset classes. The markets may go up and down, and you want tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Who says you can't take it with you? TFNN says you can. With your mobile device and TFNN's live radio streams, TFNN has put it all in the palm of your hands. No special apps to download. No subscription fees for live radio or Tiger TV streams. We say you can.
Now let's go over to the dollar, because the dollar is going to be the generator. It is the generator of basically higher dollar, lower market. And what the dollar has done, and this whole uptrend, folks, has just gone sideways. The way it works, folks, is this.
We say you can. The Tiger Financial News Network. Smart investors and professional traders know you can. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Life is a mystery to be lived, not a problem to be solved. Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Welcome back to Mindful Living, everybody. We're at 877-927-6648, and we are having an herb party today. Emily Wenzel is in the house, and she's helping us understand how to invite in more holistic, natural foods, specifically herbs, into our diet to eat, to drink, and to put on our bodies. And I am loving it. I'm loving this information.
Cool.
So you were going to share with us now your next infusions that you made.
Okay. So I make a simple syrup oftentimes. This could be for if you make some pancakes, you could drizzle it over pancakes. If you make a drink, you could add a little sweetness to your drink. Mm-hmm. So you could, if you make a muffin, you could drizzle it over a muffin. So I use a honey base, and I just selected rosemary because I hadn't used rosemary in anything yet. Mm-hmm. I added rosemary with lemon and blueberries.
Okay.
So it's pretty, smell it, of course, first, and taste it. And just honor that it's pretty sweet. So sometimes I make it thinner and thicker. Sometimes I make it thick.
Oh, it's good.
Oh my gosh,
so
that's
you could
delicious.
use that as like cough syrup or just an immunity booster.
Uh-huh.
Now, when you've been making all these, right? Did you just kind of figure this out yourself? And I mean,
yeah.
People can just taste test it, right? Is that? Why do you do? Go ahead. Sorry.
I believe that over time, more things have come to me intuitively.
Okay.
And over time, I also enjoy to garden.
Yes.
And I feel like it just makes me go deeper and deeper to connecting to my inner self and to the earth.
Right.
So every season that I would garden, I just felt closer to the earth.
Isn't that cool?
And closer to the roots, not only the roots of the earth, but the roots of myself. Like, it was just really, really interesting.
It's beautiful.
How
Connected.
it evolved.
Yeah.
So that's that one.
So again, so that's honey, and is it primarily honey, and then you just drop in the herbs?
So, okay, good question. I started out making an herbal tea. So I started out with maybe 4 to 6 ounces of water, or it might have even been 8 ounces, but knowing that it was going to probably go down to about 6 ounces with heat, okay?
Okay.
So I put the rosemary about 2 teaspoons, because remember, I'm going to add the honey to it as well. 2 teaspoons of rosemary, but I don't want the rosemary to be too powerful.
Right. And it's just a hint of rosemary.
Okay.
Getting mostly sweet, but a hint of rosemary in the background.
Okay. And then I put maybe a handful of the blueberries in there, and then some lemon rind. And let that steep for maybe a half an hour. On a low heat and with it uncovered, but I could have covered it. I probably would have covered it maybe about halfway.
Okay.
And then after that, I turned the temperature down to low. Then I added about the same amount of honey.
Okay.
If I wanted it to be really thick and more, more like a syrup, then I would have done less water.
Sure.
And then more of the honey.
Okay.
But if it's going to be, I want somebody to add it to a drink, then I do maybe half and half.
Okay.
So I
love how you said you can use it as a cough syrup, because it definitely does coat your throat, which is really wonderful.
Yep. So cinnamon in that is also good. I've done all sorts of different flavors. But I also eat seasonally. So the hibiscus and the spearmint and the lemon balm, those are all cooling
Which
to
is
the
really
body.
important. Yeah, that whole seasonally, because everything's fresh. That's what you're talking, right?
Yeah, fresh, but also energetically. Some herbs are warming and cooling.
Okay.
So for summertime, you're going to eat more cooling foods.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like cucumber and
I love cucumbers. Yeah.
And you said, will you repeat what you just said? What are the cooling things you like to use? Hibiscus?
The mint. Yep, the mint, the spearmint, and the lemon balm is cooling.
Okay.
But the rosemary is going to be a little bit more warm. But however, I mean, if somebody tends to run really cold, even during the summer, then they may want some more warm herbs. I just choose to at least recognize that. That doesn't mean you have to stay away from them. But clearly, if you're in a hot summer day, you might not want to put a bunch of Tabasco on your food. But
that's right.
I don't know, you might want to anyways.
It makes sense, though, to eat to balance your energy. It makes a lot of sense.
So this is another food as medicine. This is just a dressing, but it can also be a tonic.
This is going to be dynamite. This is the mustard,
This is a honey mustard, right. So this has fresh ground horseradish in it. So this is definitely like
delicious.
If you got any type of chest congestion, it's going to clear everything out. But also, it's just good to boost your immune system. So if you've been around a lot of people that have been under the weather, something like that, you might want to make some dressing that's got the honey, antibacterial and good immunity booster. And then I put the horseradish in there. Right at the end, I chose to put some dill in there. Maybe it was like my one little kind of splash of summer. I don't know. And then it is
dynamite.
It's really good.
I did put apple cider vinegar, you could probably taste that, and some olive oil. However, you could choose to lessen the amount. I probably did half olive oil, half apple cider vinegar, and then probably ratio maybe half of that of the honey.
Okay.
And then a teaspoon of mustard, fresh ground mustard, or you could use mustard seeds, and then maybe half of that of the turmeric, and a heaping tablespoon of the horseradish.
And what's the benefit of the body of turmeric? I know that's used a lot.
It's got a lot of anti-inflammatory properties.
Okay.
So anybody that's got joint issues or inflammation anywhere, which is probably 99% of us.
Right.
I just try to add it, and
especially as we get older.
Yeah.
Just sneak in some turmeric.
Yeah. So I like to add in there, and I like playing with the colors too.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
all these colors have been so vibrant. I mean, when you look at the hibiscus tea and then the honey mustard, it's really pretty.
Cool. Okay. Okay, so moving on to some of the herbal elixirs.
Yes.
The star anise. Star anise is, you would make a decoction. The difference between an infusion and a decoction is an infusion, or an herbal tea, would be you making the spearmint, like the leaves or the flowers. A decoction is going to be your barks, like the star anise, cinnamon. So the only difference is you let it steep for longer.
Right.
Because it's hardier.
Yeah,
right. So, I mean, I've done cinnamon where I heat the water. I do 1 stick of cinnamon per 8 ounces of water. I mash up the stick of cinnamon and I heat the water. Well, I usually do at least 4 to 8 or a gallon, you know, so I just go accordingly. And then heat the water. Then I put it where it's still like a low simmer. And put the top on, let it still kind of simmer around, brew around for a little while. Then I'll turn off the water, but let it sit there maybe all day. And it tastes like Big Red. It's like you're drinking Big Red. It's so delicious. And you can it's great for metabolism too. So it's got that perfect taste of sweetness.
Right.
So you can stick it in the refrigerator over the summer. It doesn't have to be hot. That's
and
what
doesn't it make your house smell so delicious if you just let this boil on the stove for a while?
No, your house must smell great. I know. I was thinking about that.
I think of the holidays when you can boil some herbs or some cinnamon and just
and that's
make
just
your house smell so
aromatherapy.
good. Yeah.
And that's good. So this is cinnamon elderberry with brandy and honey. And so this one has a lot of properties. Elderberry right now is growing all over the place where we live, and you'll see like
did I get one of those brandies?
I think so. There you go. Yeah, make sure to smell it.
Definitely. Cheers to your health. Thanks, Emily.
You're welcome.
So this is brandy again. What's in this?
It's elderberries. This is the elder blossoms. They're the white. This is another way to preserve your herbs. So after you dry them, put them in something airtight, label it, date it. Whoops. And because you're going to think maybe you remember, even when you dry your herbs, I showed you the paper bag, but you could also, if you have enough, you can tie them, put them in your closet somewhere, let it hang. If you're going to dry something like dill that has seeds, you might want to put a plate or something underneath it, just in case little seeds fall down underneath.
Right.
But, and then make sure you label. Even I would hang it up with some hemp, but I would tie it and I would put some label, even if it was the masking tape. You see my super fancy. I use the masking tape.
And how long do dried herbs last? That's why you date it, right?
Yes. I mean, really, if it, you hear, okay, 6 months and then toss them. I'm sure I have things longer than 6 months. Okay. I might use double. I might taste it first, or else I throw it in the compost and I just feed it back to the earth and it's just going to come back around.
So 6 months is a good sort of mark to just taste and make sure it's still good.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. But clearly I've had it longer than that. So the star anise, it's a star. It looks like a star, and inside it, or it contains these little seeds inside it. So I mash up the star anise, and this is the one that's in an alcohol. So the way that I do it, this is an oil base.
Yes.
And the way that I do the alcohol is I'll put, same thing, I put about 1/3 of the herbs mashed in there and let it sit outside or let it sit somewhere for a couple weeks. I go out and shake it up, and I usually try to be aware of the cycles of the moon. And started on one, and but this has been kind of infusing and brewing for quite a while. And then after a couple weeks, or it could be a couple months, I strain it out. That's called decanting it. So soon I'll be decanting this infusion here, which is the insect repellent.
Yes.
Then I'll use that righteous oil, which is the insect repellent oil, and that now it contains the medicinal properties, and I'll mix it with beeswax or shea butter or coconut oil, and then I'll brew that together and either make it a cream or an oil or an herbal salve. So
it's amazing.
Which these I know. So Emily brought these herbal salves. So this is a salve,
and
you
can
just
use it on your lips, on your cuticles.
Did you try some of that?
If you have tattoos, it's really good for your tattoos because it helps to protect from the sun, but it also brings out the color if you have a tattoo.
It feels great. It's really rich, very moisturizing.
So, and then don't forget your star anise elixir. So this can be, you can either taste, it could be an after dinner cordial because it's good for digestion as well.
How did you make this? This is vodka?
Yep, so that's a vodka base, honey base, and it's got vanilla.
We're going to hang out for a while after the show.
It's got vanilla beans.
This is like addicting. This is
vanilla
sweet.
beans. Okay, so it's star anise,
vanilla beans, honey, and then vodka. Those 4 ingredients.
Delicious. It kind of has a smell of licorice?
Yes.
Is that the star anise?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I don't love it because I love Zambuca. And I stopped drinking
That's
Zambuca
delicious.
because it's
pretty serious
and
stuff.
then you get the vanilla afterwards.
Okay, good.
That is really yummy.
And then, so if you need to, I've got an herbal mouthwash extravaganza if you need to cleanse your palate.
Okay.
So basically, that's another really strong herbal infusion. So an infusion in this respect, different than you making an herbal tea that steeps for 3 to 5 minutes. I make a strong infusion of, let's say I use 8 ounces of water. I might, so if this is 8 ounces, a cup that you fill for 8 ounces, maybe half of that I'm going to fill up with the herbs.
Okay.
And then I heat the water. This one's water-based. I heat the water. Then I put the herbs there, close it up, take it off the heat, but then I let it sit there for maybe 2 to 4 hours.
Okay.
Some people let it sit for 8 hours. So it's going to be different depending upon who you ask. And some of it is
there's
intuitively.
no wrong way of doing it, evidently, right?
I think if you put your intention.
How did you learn how to do this? Did you buy a book? Is there a website you can recommend?
There's a lot. There's a lot of different resources.
Place to start?
I honestly, I mean, around here, the Herb Society is a great way to start.
Okay.
There's some great programs out there online. Rosemary Gladstar is one that I, through Sage Mountain, I did some of her workshops, and Rose Collagen is somebody in the Tampa Bay area that does some of Rosemary Gladstar's. Bob Lindy is another one of my teachers of Chinese herbal medicine, and he's local in the area.
Okay.
There's a lot, and there's a lot online, and I like to host different events at the studio at Kapok Pilates and Wellness.
Nice.
I actually have one coming up on July 19th. It's a Saturday night, and you can taste more of the elixir. So I show people how to make their own. We go through tasting different ones, and then everybody gets to make their own flavors that they decide to put together. So I like to host different ones to just show people, you know, different ways to use it.
That sounds like a fun workshop. A Saturday night, make your herbal infused elixir with your alcohol of choice. Take a friend or make it a date night out. And you can find information on that workshop at Kapok Pilates and Wellness.com. What is the name of the workshop? Is it Herbal Elixir Workshop?
Yep, herbal elixirs. I think alcohol and non-alcohol.
Okay.
So people know they can go both ways.
Exactly.
So the herbal mouthwash extravaganza, we didn't really even touch on aloe very much. There is aloe in it. It's good for your mouth, your teeth, mouth, and gums. All the herbs in there are good for your teeth. Neem is something that we talked about. Parsley, thyme might be in there. So I make a strong infusion, all these things that you might already have in your medicine cabinet, and I strain out the herbs. I take that liquid, add a little bit of the aloe, and then I add some glycerin to it. So that might be one thing you need to get from somewhere else. Or actually, sometimes I've done glycerin, sometimes I've done alcohol. And then you swish it around your mouth. So if you want to taste it, smell it.
Can you swallow it or no?
I'll try it.
You can swallow it. I usually, but yes. So you can taste that. And this one is definitely a little party in your mouth too.
You know, I have a friend who actually makes her own toothpaste.
Thank you.
And then you mentioned with some herbs. I guess the mint, you would use the spearmint.
Mint, maybe. Okay, neem. Maybe. Okay.
And then you mentioned the aloe. The only thing she uses on her skin is aloe from the aloe vera plant, which of course you can buy so many places. And you want to choose organic if possible.
And we have so many around here.
I know. I mean, we should all it should just be mandatory. We just all need to grow it.
No,
you brought an aloe plant, didn't you?
Yeah, I brought at least like a sprig because. Whoops.
And this, it's dripping everywhere.
Well,
but
actually, there's a little bit of water.
My hands. Oh, okay.
So you can, if you get a burn, I got a burn. That was like right away. You know, I have it right near the kitchen. Put it on there. But even at the end of the day, or if you can even keep a sprig in the refrigerator. So if you were at the beach, You can put it on your skin. Anything that's
good for sunburn. Yeah,
good for sunburn. You can even put it on your face. Sometimes I'll put it on my face at the end of the night, or even on my hands. You don't have to wipe it off or wash it off. Some people choose to do that. I mean, anything that is going to cool your body off that you're going to drink, you can apply on your body. So you could take a washcloth, you can make your lavender water, you can sip on it, but you could also take a washcloth, dip it in the lavender tea, and then put it in your freezer. So then, like, if you have a if you have a sprained ankle, let's say, it's also good for sprains. Same thing with the lemongrass. So all these just making your herbal tea is just such a great way to start. Yeah. You could grab that. So if you're going to ice it, you just put the ice, you can put the washcloth with the cold washcloth on, and it's good for your achy muscles.
Just keep them around the house. You mentioned the lavender. I really love the sachets that you can make and put in your lingerie drawer and make your clothes smell really fresh and delicious.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there's so
the
many
aromatherapy.
Definitely.
Lavender is the number. I love,
An herbal, a spritzer. This is something that you can spray on your face to cool you off a little bit. You can make your herbal tea, cool it off, get a spray bottle, and just toss in maybe a teaspoon or two of witch hazel. So it could be a facial toner, or, at that point you might want more witch hazel, but you could just make your herbal water and then keep it in the refrigerator, or if you're running around like you and I probably are, and you just need something to freshen you up, or if you need some clarity, you can use the rosemary water and with a little bit of witch hazel on there and use it as a spray bottle.
And people pay so much money for this rose water and things at, the department store.
With a different name.
Yeah, you can just make it at home.
That's not even as clean.
Exactly.
Right.
You never know how long it's been sitting on a shelf.
Yeah.
So when you give workshops, how excited do people get? What is the, give us some of the take.
I just did one about making herbal creams and herbal salves, and I hope that it just is inspiring to people. Like I mentioned, I know not everybody wants to make a cream, but I think that it gave some people some insight as to, like, back it up, and how does this stuff really begin? How do you start? Where do the natural products come from, and how do you create it? There's not that many ingredients in there, but the few things that are in there are the real deal. So a little bit goes a long way. So a small container may last you quite a while. But I think it gets people excited, even if they pick up one thing that they can learn to do themselves. I think it gets them, and everybody got to take some an herbal salve home and an herbal cream that we created together. So that in and of itself is inspiring and motivating.
It's I think it's huge. I love the idea that, just whether you're cooking breakfast, lunch, dinner, or something, that when you do a ritual like this,
yes, that's
it's
a good
cool
word.
In general.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
it puts, like you said, some energy into the food
It's always
that
one
you're
of these
eating.
deals. We always say we don't have enough time. Well, guess what? Do you want to live or die?
Exactly.
I mean, it really comes down to that.
Exactly.
I mean, it really
and
does.
you're taking matters in your own hands. And by making or using natural products, you're also helping to build community too, because you're meeting other people of like mind, and you're helping support other people too as well. I always like to have something like this in my kitchen. One of my friends called it my on-deck herbs. So well, for the next couple days, this is what I'm going to use.
This is a great idea to get children involved too. You could, if you're cooking, you say, "Honey, grab a couple leaves."
See, I thought these were all growing out. This is your little vase. This is your on-deck herbs. I get it.
This is sage.
Oh, cool.
This is sage here. This is oregano. Actually, oregano is another great herb to have. Antifungal. Oregano oil.
Right?
You've probably seen, heard of that, or maybe taken that. So just incorporating these things. So I hope everybody may, maybe pick up one or two things from today.
Definitely. Emily, thank you so much for being here. Folks, if you want to know more about Emily Wenzel and her specialties, go to her website, Kapok Pilates and Wellness.com. Join us again next week for more mindful living, and until then, health, wealth, and beauty from the inside out. Namaste.
This is TFNN.